The Nissan Maxima is a very interesting car. It blends sportiness, luxury, it's a family sedan, but it has a lot to offer, and this 2018 Nissan Maxima Platinum is top of the line. We're going to check it out and go for a drive. Thank you all so much for tuning in for this Maxima review. We're going to start up front, but before I get started, I want to thank Fenton Nissan in Rockwall, Texas. They were super generous to let me show you this Maxima. If you're ever in the DFW area, please be sure to check them out. As we start up front, I want to talk about these headlights. I do have the flashers on right now and the headlights. It is bright outside so you can't see, but they are LED headlights. They're LED low beams. You also do have an LED daytime running light. The LED daytime running light is standard on all models. We also do get fog lights here as well. You do get halogen bulbs on lower trims, but they are projector beam. You can even see the front parking sonar button down there. You also have those in the back. Now we have 18-inch wheels on this model, but you will get 19-inch wheels on the SR model that is just a step down from this. It's a sportier model. You can see the turning indicator in the mirror, that is LED, and these mirrors also have a reverse tilt function so that when you go into reverse, they'll tilt down so you can see what's next to the vehicle. So what do you guys think of this design? You know, this is definitely a more aggressive design, but I think it works, and I think it does really good on this car, especially how this white car has kind of the black accent pieces back here and in the front. It also has a floating pillar design that's a little bit of a fastback look, makes it a little bit sportier, almost coupe-like as well. So Nissan has an LED signature for their taillight. Another thing to show you guys, Nissan is still going with the 4D SC, four-door sports car. If you've seen some older Maximas, you'll know what that's all about. You can see the rear parking sonar down there, as well as the dual exhaust pipes. I think this rear end actually looks good and fits this car pretty well. As we move around the side, you can definitely see the lines in this car. It's got kind of a swoopy shape in the back and the front, and I think it looks pretty good. Let me know down below what you guys think. As we move to the back of the car, pop the trunk. There's a little button right next to the camera. Hit that and it will pop up for you. Now underneath of here, we have a pretty wide, spacious trunk. You know, I actually thought that it was going to be bigger according to what the actual spec is. This is 14.3 cubic feet, which is smaller than some competitors in the full-size segment. Those are also bigger. We also do have these little pull tabs. Pull that down, you can knock the seat, and it is split folding so you can fit large items. One thing I really like is that these hinges are out of the way. They're never going to impede your cargo. Nissan's got a nice, simple key fob that you have for the intelligent access. We have remote start and your typical functions on here. Going to the door handle, you can push that button to lock it, or you can push it to unlock it, and the mirror will flash as well. The seats in the Maxima are just fantastic. These things are so soft. We do have the premium leather in this platinum trim. We even have quilted leather on the inside pattern of the seat. Plus, these are 8-way power adjustable with lumbar support, but you also have a thigh extension right under here for taller people and to give your legs more support. They're called zero gravity seats. They have better points for your hips to decrease fatigue, and they are just phenomenal. I haven't been in here for very long, but I've been super comfortable. On this Platinum model, we also get climate controlled seats, so we have controls in here for ventilation, for coolness, and heating. Another cool thing about this Platinum model is your passenger actually has 6-way power adjustable seats instead of the 4-way power that you get on lower trims. This steering wheel is awesome. The mobility on this thing is great. It's actually electronic here. It goes up and down quite a ways, as well as going in and out, and it's really nice. Overall, I have no complaints whatsoever with these seats. I have good headroom, even though we have a big sunroof right here. The seat moves up and down still. I'm about right in the middle. And these have really good bolstering to where they will give you a good hug, but they're not super skinny and narrow to constrict you either. Once we get inside the Maxima, you'll find that this is definitely a premium interior. We have super soft armrest right here. You actually have genuine stitching here on the dash and on your armrest. A mahogany toned trim piece right here that's kind of diamond cut pattern. You know, I've never been a big fan of wood trim, but this really doesn't look bad at all. You don't have wood trim in every single Maxima. Actually, the Platinum is the only one. Nice accented door handle. We have memory seats over here. You also do have automatic windows for your front two windows. The door pocket is average size. You could fit a bottle right there. This is actually deeper over here than it looks, as well as down here. Got a pretty good sounding door slam. As you can see, this is a super nice layout, super nice interior. You can see some of the stitching there up on the dash, even on over the console right there. So more of that wood trim, or the wood tone trim, carries over onto the passenger side. We've got push button start, buttons right there, foot on the brake, and then the steering wheel and the seat will move according to what your preset settings are. I want to start with this steering wheel. This is a D-cut leather wrapped steering wheel. It is super plush, super soft. I really enjoyed being able to hang on to this. It's an interesting design. You do have a little slot here in the middle, and I really like this flat bottom on these D-cut steering wheels. It makes it much more sporty feeling. Starting out on this front screen, you can use your steering wheel to control what you see in this information display, which is nice and large and clear. As you can see, all the information can vary from your music to your navigation. You can do your trip computer, and you can customize all of these as well. Your driving aids, which I'll go through some of the Nissan Intelligent Mobility features soon. Very nice information display. You have your typical analog gauges on the side. Going over a little further, we have typical trunk opening button, your traction control. You also do have a heated steering wheel button on this Platinum model. This is actually the rear window shade, so when I push that, you can see that shade go up just like that, and that's power and automatic and exclusive to the Platinum trim. We have automatic headlights, which you probably knew, but this also has rain sensing windshield wipers, so you don't have to be constantly adjusting your windshield wipers, which is a nice feature you can find on luxury cars. We have steering wheel controls here for your information display, as well as your music. Over here you find more traditional, like your cruise control and your voice control button and phone right here. To give you a better idea of how this thigh cushion works, so you can see the little space right here. Pull the lever, you can close that gap so that the cushion's not sticking out so far. Otherwise, you can lift it out, and you can even have it kind of in between. The center stack has a nice layout. You have your vents up there. We have an 8-inch touchscreen that has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard. Not to mention, this comes with a premium 11-speaker Bose sound system, which does sound really good. I really like these knobs. It has a nice feel to it. Both this and the tuning knob over there. We have easy to use buttons right here, but the cool thing about this screen, say we're on our map, we can actually zoom in just like you can on a tablet or a phone. Everything else is pretty easy to use, even if you don't use your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It's a nice size, it looks clear. I haven't had any glaring problems or anything like that. On top of that, with this car we have the around view monitor. When we shift into reverse, you can see we have the guidance lines for the backup camera, plus we have our 360 camera right over there. Not to mention our front and rear parking sonar. Another awesome feature when you shift into reverse, I'm going to shift into reverse. Like I showed you earlier, you have automatic tilting downward rear view or outside mirrors on the driver's side and the passenger side. Shift into drive, or shift into park or drive, and you'll see the mirrors go back up. We do have dual zone automatic climate control. Everything is laid out here really nice. You can see your temperatures. These also have a nice feel to them as well. Everything's pretty simple and easy to control. Our push button start button is right there. We actually have a pretty darn deep, now this is actually a lot bigger and deeper than you think. I can fit my iPhone 7 Plus down there no problem. There's actually a little ridge right here that you can use to hold on to a smaller phone. We have 2 USB ports. There's 4 total in this car. 2 USB ports standard on lower trims. We have an auxiliary port right there. We have pretty good sized cup holders. They're actually a little bit adaptive. We have a smaller one and a larger one. Let's do the bottle test. Fits no problem in the big one. Fits no problem in the small one. This is our gear lever for our CVT. As you can see, you have nice soft stitching right here. It's got a pretty good looking boot. You can shift it down into drive and over to the plus and minus mode. We don't have paddle shifters. You can get paddle shifters on the SR Midnight model, but here typically most people are just going to leave it in drive. One cool feature that I really like here is that we actually can control part of our screen by turning this knob For example, look up at the screen, I turn the knob so you can control the screen without actually having to touch it, which is a really nice feature. Plus, you can use these little buttons. You can actually depress this to control the screen up there. This car does give us a normal or a sport mode. Obviously, when you go to sport, you're going to have a more responsive transmission. It's going to hold the RPMs better. We have our climate-cooled gravity seats, or zero gravity seats. You can have them ventilated, puff out cooling air, or you can have them hot on both sides, and they are super simple and easy to use. One thing worth mentioning is this right here where your knee might bump into. This is soft, it's lined with stitching. There's actually a little bit of pad down below, so it really is not uncomfortable to have your knee resting up there. Our center armrest as well, like I said, we have more stitching carrying through, super soft, squishy armrest. We lift it up, it's not as big as I would have expected it to be, but we do have power port down below, as well as a couple slots for your cords to come through. Nissan gives us a locking glove box, and it's actually really deep. I mean, that goes way back there, deeper than what it looks, and it's got a nice soft lining here. We have sliding visors with vanity mirrors and lights. You have a good sized sunglass holder right there. We also have our LED lights on both sides, which is nice to have on the inside of a vehicle. We have controls for our dual pane moonroof right here, one for the passenger, one for the driver. The rearview mirror is automatic dimming, plus you do get your garage functions as well for 3 different garage doors. Visibility in this car is about what you would expect for a sedan. Obviously, you have some pretty big pillars back there and a pretty small window with just about any vehicle nowadays. But with your surround view camera, your front and rear parking sonar, and blind spot, you're pretty well covered. Now, at 5'9" in the back seat, I still have some headroom right here. Even though we have this dual panel sunroof, which does take up a little bit of headspace, I can sit upright and my hair is just barely touching it. I can sit upright without my head actually touching it. I have good space in front of my knees. There's a pretty good amount of space for my feet down below. We do have a center folding armrest, soft appointments everywhere. We even have a pretty good bolster in this seat right here that it really is really comfortable. If I move into the middle, there is the transmission tunnel down here, and as you can see, I don't quite fit at 5'9". Now that I'm in the back seat, you can see more soft padded cushioning right here. We have a very similar pocket storage right there for a bottle and a little storage as well. Now, before when I showed you the side shot, this seat was actually further back than what I normally would have it at. So I have more knee space right now. I have good foot space. There's a decent amount of thigh support here. We get rear vents for our passengers as well, which is always nice to have. Plus, like you saw, that moonroof up above. Nice, soft, spacious back seats. You can even see the quilting that carries over to these back seats. We have a center folding armrest that is also soft to the touch. Good sized cup holders, as well as a pretty deep pocket right here to store a phone or something. Once you get under the hood of the Maxima, you get a 3.5 liter V6 that pushes out an even 300 horsepower and 261 pound-feet of torque. Now, I'm really glad that Nissan's actually going with a V6 instead of a small displacement turbo 4-cylinder engine. You really can't beat the sound and feel of a good V6 compared to a small displacement turbo. Every single Maxima, no matter which trim level you get, will come with its Xtronic CVT. It's an unusual CVT, and it's been praised as a very good CVT, and it actually can hold RPMs to make it sportier and feel like a more fun car to drive. Miles per gallon is the same across the board. It's a very respectable 21 miles per gallon in the city and 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Once we get behind the wheel of the Maxima, one of the first things you'll notice is that it's pretty darn quiet. This has active and passive noise cancellation. So with passive, you have acoustic glass on the front windshield as well as both the passenger and driver side windows. So it's thicker glass and helps to block out the noise. We also have active noise cancellation where it emits sounds to help block out and cancel other sounds. But we have active sound enhancement, which helps to kind of give it a better engine sound. This really has a pretty good sound. We have the V6, like I said, with 300 horsepower. It does have the CVT, which it's really smooth. You know, the CVT is designed for fuel economy. It helps keep you in your power band. It can give you power when you need it. It's a pretty darn windy day right now, and I'm going about 50, and I don't hear hardly any wind. This is really quiet. It's really smooth. The suspension is probably a medium suspension. It's not too firm, but it's also not too soft to where it feels kind of floaty. You definitely feel planted to the road. And I just have to say that these seats are so dang comfortable. I just want to put them in my car. Going around a turn, the steering has a good feel to it. It's a pretty tight steering right here, and it's a good enough feel to where I feel pretty darn confident. Even though it's not a sharp turn or a fast turn, there's no issues with it. And I really, really like this steering wheel. This D-cut steering wheel and this nice soft leather, it's a really good touch. Even in smaller spaces, I don't know what the turning radius is here, but we do have pretty tight steering. Like I said, there's no problem doing a U-turn or getting turned around. It feels pretty direct. You know, it does have a bit of an artificial feel to it, which it's going to. It doesn't have a lot of weight, but at least it's direct and you know exactly where it's going to put you. It's going to give it some acceleration. Now, all Maximas are front wheel drive, and there's just maybe a tiny bit of torque steer. Obviously I didn't floor it and try to burn anything out, but there's just a little bit of torque steer, but still you feel pretty well planted, and this steering definitely gives me some confidence. As you can see this turn, I don't even have to adjust the steering wheel. I know exactly where it's going to go. It's really comfortable to hang on to and really comfortable to use. So I'm going about 50 again, and for example on the highway, let's say you want to get on it, get some speed to go around and pass somebody. This is plenty capable. I'm going to give it a little bit of gas. Very quickly up to 60, 65. No issues at all. You got to love having a V6. There's no turbo lag. Obviously, you don't have the same amount of torque down low that you would with a turbo, but there's no lag, so, and plus you get the sound of a V6. One thing about the CVT is that I've been in normal mode the whole time, and you can hear it drone a little bit, but it's not really annoying or anything like you might have heard on some older CVTs. Nissan's done a really good job with this CVT. Put it in sport mode. Right when I put it in sport mode, you'll see a little change on the instrument cluster. And I don't know how you could hear that, but it was louder than the last time I accelerated. And that's not flooring it, that's just moderate acceleration. And it's a little bit quicker. Transmission will bite a little bit harder when you go. Although you don't feel the hard shift like you would in a regular like 6 or 8 speed transmission or in a manual. With the Nissan Intelligent Mobility, the safety systems that are on so many vehicles nowadays, standard on all Maximas you get the forward collision warning and emergency automatic braking. On the SV and up, you'll get your front and rear parking sonar, and on the SL and up, you'll get your intelligent cruise control, your blind spot monitoring with your rear cross traffic alert. So this Platinum model, we have all of those, plus we have the around view camera, and everything comes together to give you a really safe car. One thing I've noticed with the brakes is that you really don't have to push hard. You don't have to put a ton of weight into the brake. You don't have to go too far into the pedal in order to feel it bite. Now I'm just getting on a rougher road. This has just a tougher, harder texture to it, so you can kind of be the ears and the judge of how loud it is. So I was in a Honda Accord recently. If you haven't seen that video, click right up here to check it out on the corner of the screen. This is quieter than that. This is quieter than that Accord. The Accord was the touring trim. It was on the exact same road right here. I would say suspension-wise, these feel very similar. If you want something sportier, obviously, you could go with the SR. That Midnight model is pretty darn sick. It's pretty murdered out when it's black. This Maxima is a really good choice. It could work as a family sedan. It could work as a luxury car. If you get this Platinum model, you can treat it as a sports car. It's got a lot of power. Even though it's front wheel drive, it would be really nice to see all-wheel drive. I'm always a fan of all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, of course, if you really want the true sports car feel. But it's comfortable, it's spacious, it's got a V6, 300 horsepower. These seats are just fantastic, and it starts just over $33,000 on the lower end, and we get up to $40,000 once we get up higher. When you compare it to some higher-end mid-size cars, you know, there's some things that you don't get with those that you will here. Plus, you have the V6 standard. You have a lot of features standard, especially once you get to the SL trim. I'm just pulling back into Nissan. This is Fenton Nissan in Rockwall, Texas. They were super generous. They have a almost brand new dealership, which is super nice, and they have a big selection of vehicles. If you're in the area, please check them out. They were super nice to let me show you guys this. I want to thank you for watching. I have weekly videos. This is Prime Autotainment. I'm Nolan Merrill. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We'll see you next week. Hey y'all, thank you so much for watching my video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do down below for new weekly videos every single week. Also hit me up on social media. Find the links down below in the description for Prime Autotainment. Once again, leave some comments down below, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week.